let's get into it. So chapter 12, we're going to do 12:1 today, 12:2 tomorrow. It's that green sheet pretty much. We're going through the different figures. So like I said, we're starting with prism today. Prism's not awful, but it does take a little bit of work. I'm just going to warn you of that. And cylinder, which is super easy. So first, as always, when we start a new chapter, there's always all the vocabulary. So first things first, we're going to talk about what is a polyhedra. Okay, that's the word I know. So the words in red are what you're filling in. A polyhedra is a solid that is bounded by polygons called faces that enclose a single region of space. An edge of a polyhedron is a line segment formed by the intersection of two faces. A vertex of a polyhedron is a point where three or more edges meet. So much words. Okay, so here is obviously an example of a polyhedron. So common sense. You know, I think the wordy stuff is way harder than what it needs to be. Of course, where two faces meet, that's an edge. That's very exciting. There's lots of edges. Here's another edge. Another edge. There's lots of them. Wherever two sides meet, or faces really what we call them, that is an edge. And then, of course, the vertex is the point where they meet. Okay? Now, one thing to point out here, because we're getting to it, polyhedrons, remember the key word also in that definition is polygons, hexagon, triangle, octagon. Solid, straight line, enclosed figures. Nothing circular. Because one of the things you're going to have to do today is tell me, yes, it's a polyhedron, or no, it is not. So polyhedron, nothing curved in it, nothing circular. They're all hexagon, triangle, rectangle, all the different polygons. Octagon, heptagon, whatever. Okay. So obviously here's some examples. The top, of course, is a prism. We're going to work on prism today. That's on your formula sheet. And then, of course, you have a pyramid. We all know what a pyramid looks like. Now, obviously, there's some examples, not polyhedrons over here. And this is what I was alluding to. Anything with curves on it is not a polyhedron. We are still going to do the surface area and volume eventually of a cylinder, of a cone, and of a sphere, but they're technically not polyhedrons. So the first thing we're going to do today, first thing, when we get to it, is we're going to say whether they're polyhedrons or not. Now, questions? Okay, focus. Here we go. One of the other things you have to do besides determine whether it is a polyhedron is you have to name it. So to name a prism or pyramid, you are using, you don't have to fill this in, I would maybe underline it, the shape of the base. So if your base is an octagon, we say it's an octagonal prism. Or if your base is a rectangular prism. So here you can see one, pentagonal prism, because your bases are these five-sided sides. So there's the bottom and the top. So those are the bases. You always have two congruent figures. The top and bottom are always the same. Now, you know, sometimes they get fancy and they might tip it over and lay it sideways, but you're always looking for those congruent faces. So two bases of the prism are always congruent. Now, over here on the side, this lovely pyramid, you look at your base, of course. So the base of it on this one is a triangle. So you would call this a triangular pyramid. So we are going to name them in a minute, okay? So here we go. Let's do it. Tell whether this solid's a polyhedron if it is named. First, yes or no is all I need. Is this a polyhedron? Yes. Now, the question is we need to name it. First question for you. Is it a prism or pyramid? Prism. And what shape are the bases? Rectangle. So I'm going to say rectangular prism. Got it. All right, take a look at the next figure. Make sure everybody's done writing. First question, is it a polyhedron, yes or no? Yes? Next question, what sort of shape is the base? There we go. I hear all sorts of things. Hexagon, because you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. So I'm going to call it a hexagonal pyramid. All right, let's look then at the third figure. First
Sorry for the interruption. You have Jocelyn Pleasant in class.
I do.
Better to attend it.
Sure. Okay, first question, yes or no? Is the third picture a polyhedron?
Yes. No.
No, you're right, not. Why is it not a polyhedron? Curve. It's a cone. Now, we are going to do surface area cones and stuff in this chapter too, but it's just technically not a polyhedron. Okay, fourth figure. First question, yes or no? Is it a polyhedron?
Yes.
Yes. No curves. Now, is it a, next question, prism
Yes.
or pyramid?
Prism.
Prism. And let's put prism down. So I'm going to put a word in the front. What shape are the bases? Triangles. Your two congruent figures, which are these two triangles, triangular prism. Oh man, I should have spaced it a little better, I guess. Okay, so look over the first page of your notes. Any questions on A, why it is a polyhedron, and B, how to name it? So that's the first step. Step one is being able to identify. Now, the rest of the day, we are going to focus, like I said, we're kind of doing 2 figures a day. We're going to do prism today, and we're going to do cylinder today. We'll get to cone and pyramid tomorrow. So flip the page. Obviously, what's in red, you're filling in. Let's talk prism. So we saw pictures of prism on the previous page. Polyhedron with 2 congruent faces called the bases that lie in parallel planes. And remember, just like we did, they're classified by the shape of their base. So just be aware of that. We just did that. Now we're going to calculate the surface area. Is the sum of all the areas of its faces. Now if you look at this and you counted them, there's a lot of faces on this because you have all the different sides and the top and bottom. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides, top, bottom. There's 8 faces on that thing. I'm not going to do 8 different calculations and add them all up. We're going to have some formulas, which is the next thing, to make our life easier. Now, a couple things before I get to your formula. On a prism, easy question, how many bases are there?
8.
Bases. 2. So I'm going to do the area 1 base and just double it. I'm just going to copy that down. Now, to do the rest of it for the faces, what I'm going to do is I'm going to calculate the perimeter of this base and times it by the height. Because if you were to cut this apart and unfold it, you can just do the perimeter of the bottom times the height, that's a rectangle. That will give you all of the bases, and you can just add it to the bases. So the formula you need to fill in is this. And this is on your green sheet. Now, if you're like, oh gosh, I don't know if I would remember H's height, you might want to write that down. You might know that one though. B is area of the base. P is perimeter of the base. And I'm just going to steal Drew's because it's in front of me. If you look at the top formula on that green sheet I gave you, it's all right there too. Okay? Keep the green sheet close. Now, the tricky part of this, if there is a tricky part, is the capital B. Because your base could be a rectangle, could be a triangle. You have to know the formula. Could be a regular hexagon, and I'm going to use half at. It's depending on what shape it is, what formula I'm going to use to get its area. We know perimeter, add up all the sides. And key thing also just to point out to you, thanks Ms. Jocelyn, the height is the distance between the bases. Now remember, sometimes they get fancy and they tip the prism over. So your height might be going this way. The distance between the bases is what you have to remember. All right, let's do one, shall we? Okay, find the surface area of the prism. Now, first question for you. What shape is the base? I heard it, a pentagon. We have these 5 sides.
This is what we did last.
Uh-huh. So I'm going to start with the base. Now, you need to know the formula to calculate the area of a regular polygon. What is it? Half again. And just when you thought you were rid of it, here it is. Okay. But here I am to help you with the cause, right? So let's start. I always start with the easy part of that formula, which I think is perimeter. Because, man, I can add up all sides all day long. So remember, the top is the same. They're congruent. So I'm looking at it, okay, I'm like, all right, the sides are 7.05. So super easy in my calculator, we can do this. I'm just gonna do 7.05 times 5. So let's get that, of course. What do you have for your perimeter? 35 point, let's round to the 10th, it doesn't say, so 6. Close enough. Now, the next thing we need is that A, the apothem. Now, you can kind of see there's a triangle drawn here. I'm going to redraw it out so I have some room to write on it. So I'm looking at this purple triangle. Now, I know some of us are crushing this. Clearly, I've looked at your test scores. Some of us are a little shaky on it. So let's go through this slowly, okay? The apothem is from the center of the polygon to the middle of the side. The next thing we need, of course, is some more information to find it. So I'm going to find the central angle. If you draw a circle, how many degrees in a full circle? 360. So I'm going to do 360. And of course, our pentagon has 5 sides. I'm going to equally divide by 5. 72. Now, hold on. I'm not going to put 72 in here for my angle. 72 is the whole central angle. I'm only working on half of it. So do a little mental math. What's half of it? Yeah. Okay. Now, we can also get this side down here. Because obviously, my 30, 60, 90, 45, 45, 90 is not going to cut it. I'm going to have to use SOHCAHTOA. Now, we can get this side here because it's half of our 7.05. It's half of the side length. So in your calculator, what's half of 7.05? Punch that in for me. So let's round it, 3.6. So I'm gonna just pause for a second. First question, anybody confused or need me to re-explain how I got the 36 degrees? Talina. Did I miswrite it? What is it? 35 point what? 2?
No, it's 3.
3? Okay. Sorry, I was just going with what people said. Okay, next question. Any confusion on how I got the 3.6?
Yeah, that was my answer.
Yeah, Josh gave me the 3.6. Any questions on that? Okay, now I have a question for you. If we're going to find A, are you using sine, cos, or tan?
Oh, no. I was looking stupid. That's wrong.
What's wrong?
It's 3.52. Sorry.
It's not 3.5.
Why do I trust Josh?
No, I'm looking. I'm stupid. I'm
3
sorry.
point. I thought it was 3.5. I thought maybe I wrote it down wrong, so I just went with that.
I'm sorry if you're calling me.
It's okay. It's okay. All right. Next question. Lord help us all. What trig ratio are you using? Sine, cos, or tan? So hang on. What side would you classify the 3.5? Opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse? Opposite. And we need this side. Is it adjacent or hypotenuse? Okay, so which trig ratio are you using now? Tan. So we're going to do tan of 36 equals our opposite side over adjacent. Now, we got to do a little algebra to solve this. First, I'm going to clear the denominator. I'm going to multiply by a to get rid of it. Now, really from here, I think most of you could go straight to your calculator. To get a alone, how are you getting rid of times the tan of 36? Divide. So in my calculator, in your calculator, you're going to do 3.5 divided by tan of 36. And I'm scared to see what we get when we punch that in. What do we have? 4.8. So I'm going to label that on my picture. Okay, so are you ready to give me the area of that pentagon? Do we have everything we know? We have the apothem. Just got it. We did the perimeter. Let's finish off this area. Okay, so our apothem was at 4.8. And we did the perimeter. The perimeter, remember, was 35.3. Okay, punch that in for me. What do you have for that? I'm having you guys do it because I rounded to more decimal places, so give me what you got. What do you have, Talina? 84.7, everybody agree? I have 85, like I said, I rounded different. Now, here's the fun part. Let's just stop for a second. So far, have we done anything differently or new? No, but we are going to here in a minute. Because remember, we're doing the surface area of the entire prism. All that work was for the base, okay, which is the majority of the work. That's not my final answer. Don't make a face, Alex. This is going to be easy. You get the surface area of the prism. Now, the formula is on your sheet in front of you. I'm going to click it back a slide. 2 times the area of the base. Well, we just figured that base out. We got it. So I'm going to do 2 times our area of the base, which is at the top up there, 84.7. Okay, look at your formula. Plus the perimeter of the base, which I already calculated. I have the perimeter of the base. What's the perimeter of the base?
35.3.
Got it. So we've done the hard part. Okay, last question. What is the height? How tall is the prism? 9. So your final answer is going to be this red one. What do you have? 489.8. And I'm going to label, we should always label. What's our label? Feet squared. So is it more work than last chapter? Yes, I'm not going to lie to you, but is it really that much more work?
Yeah.
It's like one extra step, Grayson, one extra step. Any questions on that? Selena, 487.1? Oh, Lord.
If you put it depends if you put 0.3 or
And you guys have all my calculator. Drew, can I steal your calculator?
Ms. Pryor, I'm gonna go on to the next one.
It's because Callie put 0.6.
84.7 plus 30. I'm just doing it quick because I rounded differently, so mine's a little different here. Times 9. I have 487.1. Yes?
Yeah, that's what I got.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, Mr. Pryor, Josh messed up the whole calendar.
Oh yeah, blame it on me.
Okay, I'm sorry. Questions?
But she was the one who put 0.6.
Whew, all right.
Oh, we should leave Josh alone.
Are we set on this? Our 47.1?
Yeah,
Lord help me.
I'm
Now,
sorry for calling you a goofy.
all right, here we go.
No, I called her.
Clearly it's a prism. First question for you. What shape is the base? A triangle.
I'm feeling it right now.
So I'm going to work on the base here,
She's feeling the Monday too.
which is a triangle. Okay, next question for you, my friends. You have to know this. What is the formula for area of a triangle? Base height over 2, 1/2 base height, however you want to go with it. So first things first, I'm looking at this triangular base, and I'm not in love with it, because if I look at this, do you know the height of it? No, so we're gonna have to find it. Okay, we can do it. First things first, I'm gonna redraw the triangle over here. Now, I don't like that it's kind of on its side. I catch these 2 congruent marks, our isosceles triangle. We're kind of used to it standing up, so that's how I'm gonna redraw it. So I'm gonna have 10, 10, 4. We need the height. We've got the base, we need the height. So I'm gonna draw it right in the middle. Now, next question. Nice and easy. We can make our lives easy. If these are both 10, you can evenly split this. Because I'm only working on a side, half of the triangle. What's half of 4? 2. So here's the thing. You know this side is 2. You know the hypotenuse is 10. I need h. I'm going to use some easy old school Pythagorean theorem. I'm going to do h squared plus 2 squared, 10 squared. All right, let's calculate it. We know 2 squared is 4. We know 10 squared is 100. Subtract the 4 off. What's 100 minus 4? And then we're going to square root it. Okay, punch this in your calculator. What's the square root of 96?
We don't know.
Punch it in. Let's round to the 10th. 9.8. Okay, so do you have everything you need to finish off the calculation for area of the triangle? We just did the height.
Yeah.
What's the base?
Yeah,
The whole base, 4. So we're ready to go. So I'm going to do the base, which is 4, times our height over 2. So what is that? Really, let's work smart here.
19.6.
19.6. I like it.
Actually, I got.
Oh, Lord, I'm scared. Now, here's the thing. That's just this triangular base. We need the whole darn prism, but we have everything. We really do. So your formula, which is on your sheet, 2 times the base, 2 of those triangles. Now, you're going to have to do a little mental math here. Remember the next part of your formula, let me just click it back to perimeter of the base. Well, I don't have that written down, but I can tell you. What's the perimeter of this triangle? 24. Add them all up, 10, 10, 14. I'm just going to throw 24. Okay, what is the height? Look at the prism. What's the height of the prism? What is the distance between the 2 triangular bases? 11.2. All right, punch that in and we're done.
I'm not gonna say anything because I'm scared right now.
I'm scared to ask what we have. 308, agree. All right, let's put a label on it. Meter is what?
Yeah.
Square. Oh, boy.
Oh, I got 308.
Okay.
Yeah.
So realistically, have I taught you anything really that new from last chapter?
Yeah. Oh, no.
No, you just taught us the formula, how to use the formula.
Wait,
Okay.
Miss Pryor.
Yeah.
Hit it, Manny.
So, like, on the triangle,
Yep.
I thought it was explained the other side, the triangle, the H2 straight.
The Pythagorean theorem, you're looking at this part?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then it's 10 and 10.
Yeah.
So we're just rounding up
For what?
for the triangle, because it's just 24.
Yeah, because if you do 10, the perimeter, 10 plus 10 plus 4 is 24.
So you rounded that, I pointed it up like 10.
No, I'm using all 3 sides. I did 10 plus this 10 plus the bottom 4.
Where'd you get the 10 from?
On the picture, they're congruent. Catch the congruent marks, Maddie. 10, 10. So I just added them, 10, 10, 4. Yeah, I just straight added, okay? All right, same type of formula, honestly, but we're gonna go to cylinder. Now, cylinder, focus, my friends. What shapes are the bases of a cylinder?
Circle.
Circle. What's the formula for area of a circle?
2.
Pi r squared.
Yeah.
So what's gonna change in your formula is instead of the b here, they're gonna put pi r squared because it is a cylinder. So it's kind of the same formula, but obviously adjusted for this very lovely cylinder. So you do need to fill in this formula.
Just
I think the
that
circles were the only.
Yep, just
thing I
that
got
part.
right on the test.
So fill that in on the line. I'm gonna explain it to you. Just hang on. I'm gonna steal Drew's sheet again. I always steal him for Drew.
Stop it, Jared.
So if you look at your green sheet, the cylinder's on the front at the bottom. So we're doing the top figure prism and the bottom one today's cylinder. Obviously, we're gonna do the others as the chapter goes. So here's why I didn't make you write this full formula, because we're really using the last one. The base is a circle. You guys just told me pi r squared is area of a circle. So let's just go straight to it. Now, C, of course, is circumference. We know the formula from last chapter for circumference. That's 2 pi r, and then h. So we're just going to use that last version, which has everything set up for our circle formulas. I love this. This is super easy. Find the surface area of the right cylinder. Height 18, radius 10, round to do decimal places. Okay, so I'm just going to use my formula. I'm going to put 10 in for the r's, and I'm going to put in the height. There's nothing more exciting to it than that. So our radius is 10. So there's 2 of our bases, pi r squared. And then it is the circumference, 2 pi r h. And just read it quick. What's the height of the cylinder? 18. I'm going to put a dot in there so it's times. All right, start punching it in. I'm scared. Sure. Hmm? Right there. But But you're just gonna have to put these in for pi r squared for the base, and you're gonna put that in for the perimeter. All right.
Wait, don't say anything yet.
Hold on, 814.
What?
I got 1,007.
Okay, so I'm getting scared about punching this in. Let's punch this one in together, okay? So
I got 1,750.
So I don't do anything fancy, I just literally type in what it's saying, times 10 squared. Now, I can't always say I do times 10 squared because I know what 10 squared is. What's 10 squared?
100.
So I just do times 100. Plus, of course, 2 pi times 10. And then our height was 18. I just type it in all in one lovely step.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna round that to 0.3, let's say.
That's what the rest of us got.
Oh,
Look at it. Look
I
at it.
got
Look
it.
at it.
Wait,
What?
I said
I just need to.
okay. I just did the 10th. I know it says 2, I just did the 10th. Because on your quiz this week and test, it's all the 10th. So let's just do
Did
10.
you get this now?
All right, final one.
Did you get this?
Scared of our calculator skills here, people. Find the height of the cylinder shown. Okay. All right, here we go. Focus. Focus, my friends. Last problem. Now, this one's just a little bit differently because when you look at your formula, it's giving you the surface area. You're solving for h. So I am going to have to do a little algebra to get h alone. Not the worst thing in the world, but we can do it. So it gives you the surface area. Now, I know the formula. 2 times the area of the bases. Now, the base, of course, are circles, so pi r squared. Here's my radius, so pi times 2.5 squared. Plus, and of course, we know our formula, circumference, 2 pi r. And again, radius still 2.5 times h. So like I said, we're gonna have to do a little bit of algebra here, but we can do a lot of this in our calculators. To get h alone, I would first get rid of this term. To get rid of this, I'm gonna go to my calculator, I'm gonna subtract it. Because that will make 0 there, but of course I gotta subtract it over here. So the first thing I'm gonna do, we're gonna do this in our calculator, I'm gonna type in 157.08. Maybe, where's my calculator? 157.08 minus 2. Now I'm going to put this in parentheses to make sure it subtracts the whole product. 2 pi times 2.5 squared. All right. So first off, you have to make sure you do it in parentheses. Otherwise, it won't subtract the whole product there. I'm going to hit enter. So I get about 117.8, let's say. And I have left this 2 pi 2.5h. Now, we can get the h alone. I could have done the rest of this, I think, just straight calculator. Because to get the h alone, how are you getting rid of the 2, the pi, and the 2.5? Yeah. Now, when I type this in, and you might be ahead of me typing it in, which is fine, but I'm going to put parentheses around that denominator. I want it to divide by all of that stuff. So on my calculator, I've got that 117.8 still in it. I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to hit divided by. I'm going to put parenthesis, and now I'm going to type the 2 pi 2.5. 2, maybe. I hate this thing.
I got an arrow.
All right, 2 pi, here it is, times 2.5. And you should get about 7.5, and I'm gonna label this.
Wait, I didn't get that.
I didn't get that.
I got
Parentheses, people.
7.499.
The word gym doesn't have to vowel.
That's exactly how I typed it in.
You have to put the whole 117, not just 117.
Now, you might, if you rounded this and did 117.8 divided by that, you'll be a little bit off, but you should be close to 7.5. So let me put 7.5 down.
You asked what it happened.
What's the label on that? Is it meters or meters squared?
Meter.
Just meters. It's not the area, it's the height. Okay, so once again, just because it sounds a little confusion, that's what I punched in on my calculator. You have to be careful about putting parentheses so it does subtract that whole amount. It does divide by that whole amount. How's our calculator skills?
I didn't take running. Hold on.
I'm gonna leave that up there a minute.